Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth, and welcome to the parable of the mustard seed. Together, we're going to dive into the history of mustard. It's actually quite fascinating. And at the same time, we'll be learning about this wonderful parable. Before 1904, mustard had a kick. Then, French changed everything. Just like faith, it was transformed. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, tiny, overlooked, but destined to grow huge, wild, and unstoppable. Mustard used to be wild too. Before 1904, it was hot, spicy, and bold, just like the faith Jesus described. Now, of course, mustard changing and faith growing are not exactly the same, but it's the idea of transforming something into something that it wasn't before. Better, stronger, more driven. Faith can drive or faith can crash. It all depends on what course is taken. It all depends on how much is helped along the way. I remember reading a story once where a man was running a race. He stopped and he couldn't go on. Many people passed along, but there was one who stopped and sat with the runner until he was recovered enough to move along. He gave him water, he gave him shelter. That person was Jesus. Back to the mustard. George French changed mustard into something that has been consumed by many, many people. He made the mustard accessible to more and more people. He mellowed the mustard with vinegar and turned it into the smooth yellow spread that we know today. From fiery beginnings to unexpected transformation, faith grows. Faith changes by getting stronger, bolder, more fierce, and driven. By staying connected to God, it will never lose its power. Let your mustard seed grow. Even the smallest spark of belief can move mountains. I think of the woman who was suffering for 12 years from bleeding and had the drive to at least touch the hem of Jesus' robe because she believed in the divine healing power of Jesus. People sought Jesus out because of his healing power, but sadly, many feel like they don't need to subscribe to a higher power anymore. And this is driving the country into more and more corruption, even within the churches. Satan is so crafty and he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows the best way to get to Jesus's people is through the churches and the ones that don't attend church. The ones that don't attend church, well, that's even easier. Satan lures people to lose their way through television shows and movies, and probably music too. Many things that people think are harmless are actually quite destructive. It takes a discerning mind to find these things. We can have strength in our faith. Jesus will seek the lost lamb. He will leave the 99 and seek you out. All you have to do is cry out to him. A lot of people think that becoming a Christian means that you're going to lose a lot of freedoms. And that's absolutely correct. But the things that you're giving up, you're replacing with things that are so much more worth your time. You are caring for others and it will feed your soul. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to say that non-Christians are not giving or generous. Not for 1 minute am I saying that. There are many people, I'm sure, who are non-Christian and very generous and very helpful to others. But what I mean is that the servitude is different. And until you experience it, you can't understand it.
Matthew 13:31-32. Here is another illustration Jesus used. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed planted in a field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but it becomes the largest of all garden plants. It grows into a tree, and the birds come and make nests in its branches. Luke 13:18-19. Then Jesus said, "What is the kingdom of God like? How can I illustrate it? It's like a tiny mustard seed that a man planted in a garden. It grows and becomes a tree, and the birds make nests in its shade." Mark 4:30-32. Jesus said, "How can I describe the kingdom of God? What story should I use to illustrate it? It is like a mustard seed planted in the ground. It is the smallest of all seeds, but it becomes the largest of all garden plants. It grows long branches, and birds can make nests in its branches."
When I first read these verses in succession, I was really baffled as to how Luke's version of this verse changes one part of it from birds nesting in branches versus in the shade. I have an explanation that I will get to later in this message. It's really good news. First, I want to introduce a book to you. It's called The Good Cook's Book of Mustard by Michelle Anna Jordan, and it has been a wealth of information pertaining to this study. At one point, the author states that mustard is a plant, a member of the Brassica genus of the Cruciferae family, so named for its flowers, which sports 4 petals in a cross shape. Isn't that cool that the petals are shaped in a cross, like configuration? All varieties of mustard are fast growing and, like other brassicas, thrive in cooler weather. Mustard blooms in the early spring, and in many areas, its bright yellow flowers are the first sign of the coming of a new season. The author then explains a bit more history. It is really interesting. What I did not know, among most of what I say in this message pertaining to mustard plants, is that mustard plants themselves are very hot. When the shell is shattered, a chemical reaction occurs. The molecular structure is broken. The author then explains everything in more detail. Mustard was really not widely accepted until 1904, when Francis French developed a mild recipe based exclusively on white mustard seeds. He suspected that Americans were not buying mustard because they did not like its heat. Success suggests that he was correct. Today's French's mustard, bright yellow from turmeric and tart from vinegar, accounts for 40% of all mustard consumed in this country. On page 6, the author states that mustard plants can thrive in any temperature climate and requires no special care to grow. She even mentions that you can grow mustard plants on your kitchen counter. Can you believe that? On page 8, the author states that the mustard, the plant, receives its common name from the prepared condiment mustum, referring to the unsweetened, unfermented grape juice with which it was blended by the Romans and the Ardents, referring to its fiery taste. Mustard plants can be used as green manure when it is plowed back into the earth before it goes to seed. Mustard plants also attract garden pests. Harmful insects are drawn to their volatile oils and lay their eggs on the leaves. The mustard plants are then removed, the unhatched eggs along with them, before the pests can harm the crops. It is no wonder that the mustard seed was chosen to represent this parable. I mean, think about how much endurance it has. It waits patiently until the time is right. That is what we should do. We plant, water, and wait. We need to wait on God for His timing. Think about the mustard seed. Think about how such a tiny seed to grow so tall and strong. God will see us through any trial that we are enduring. He will keep away the pests or help us through the terror of the pests. Now to the part that I said I would be addressing later in the message. This is the most exciting part of the whole message. The reason why the verse in Luke mentions shade is because now the kingdom of heaven is open to everyone, Jew or Gentile. We're all welcome into the kingdom of God, no matter what race, gender, or economic background we come from. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The parable of the mustard seed is a great testimony about having faith. There's so many occasions in the Bible where people had just enough faith and big miracles happened. Even the smallest acts of faith, like a tiny mustard seed, can lead to extraordinary growth and impact. What is a small step that you can take today to trust God and watch your faith flourish? Thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next podcast where we explore another parable. If you have not already, please join our current series where we make a video talking about what we thank God for. We're doing this throughout the whole month of October in 2025. So I hope you'll join. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.
On YouTube, Instagram, Facebook too. Community, we just follow you with messages to